Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, February 9, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the dad's been like in your year recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let's just take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we have two high pressure domes, one right here off the east coast of the United States and another right here off the west coast of Africa. All of these are responsible for sending all of those easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can also see that we still have that cold front lingering, stretching all the way from northern sections of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of the eastern Caribbean. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see those low-level clouds pushing from east to west across the Caribbean, all courtesy of that easterly flow of wind brought about by that high pressure. Not to mention some slight brown shades across the main development region associated with the Saharan dust moving from east to west of Africa, all courtesy of that easterly flow of winds brought about by that high pressure ridge. We can also see the clouds associated with that cold front that we mentioned on the surface map, stretching all the way from northern sections of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of the eastern Caribbean. We'll be talking more about the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the weather across Jamaica for today. So we saw that there was a lack of video yesterday because today was expected to be a mostly fair day. It was sunny in the morning, then during the afternoon we had some partly cloudy skies in some spots. And if we take a look at the latest infrared satellite images, we do still have some amount of clouds across sections of some northeastern parishes. We can't rule out some isolated showers as usual in sections of Portland or St. Mary, even although the Cuban Doppler radar images aren't showing much at this time. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 26 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston, and by about 3 a.m. on Saturday morning, temperature should dip down to about 20 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 22 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay. And we're still being plagued by some amount of cooler than average temperatures across the Caribbean, stretching all the way from northeastern Caribbean into portions of the Greater Antilles, as we can see by those blues that represent some below normal temperatures, dipping all the way down to at least close to 3 degrees Celsius below normal across sections of the Caribbean. Seems to be only 2 degrees Celsius below normal across sections of Jamaica. And this map from the GFS is valid for 18th on Saturday. When we calculate that, that's 1 p.m. on Saturday. With the sun being out, some persons might not even feel the cooler than average temperatures. We know we normally feel the cooler than average temperatures, mainly during the nighttime or the early morning hours. And we know that when we're talking about normal temperatures, we're talking about what we get for the month of February across Jamaica, which is about 86.4 degrees Fahrenheit. When we take a look at the thermometer, that's about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. So, with this showing at least 2 degrees Celsius below normal temperatures for tomorrow, we should be getting anywhere from 28 to 30 degrees Celsius at most for the highs, but we know for the lows it could be anywhere from, in most areas or the low-lying areas, anywhere from 20 to maybe 23 degrees Celsius at most. As relates to the dry air map, we can see that the dry air is represented by the yellows, oranges and reds, as we can see by the key on the bottom. And there's a lot of dry air plaguing the entire Atlantic basin from Africa all the way into portions of the Gulf of Mexico. But we're indeed grateful that majority of the Caribbean, including Jamaica, we're not going to be plagued by the Saharan dust for 2 p.m. on Saturday, because all the browns associated with the Sahara Desert should be plaguing mainly sections of the southern Caribbean, sections of the EBC Islands, sections of the Windward Islands, sections of northeastern South America, sections of Africa, and the waters of the main development region. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that we have more in the way of blues surrounding the island, maybe some purples right there off the far eastern end of the island that represent 2 meter wave heights. while the rest of the island should be getting anywhere from 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights. So yes, it is good enough for some amount of fishing, but we know we have to take some precautions, especially if we're heading far out eastward. And all of these wave heights are because the winds are going to be coming in from the east. We're back to our normal scheduled program. Earlier this week, we were getting winds coming in from the west and the north, all courtesy of that cold front. Now we're back to what we are used to. Winds coming in from the east, averaging anywhere from 10 to 15 to even 20 knots. And we also saw that on the GFS, the wind were even getting up into the yellows, as you can see by the key on the bottom right. I know the yellows represent anywhere from 25 to close to 30 knots, and that explains the purple that we saw earlier with the wave heights up to 2 meters. And with the winds coming in from the east, we can rule out some isolated showers coming off of the sea, coming into section of eastern Jamaica. You know, eastern Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, so Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, and we can rule out some of these clouds spilling into sections of some central parishes as well. You know, central parishes, we're talking about Middlesex. Middlesex County contains St. Anne, St. Mary, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, and who knows, some of that might even make its way as far west into western Jamaica, Cornwall County, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney. So we'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, both precipitation forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing some blues across eastern Jamaica, section of St. Thomas and Portland, that is, by 8 a.m. on Saturday. And even when we skip ahead to about 11 a.m., we still see much of the same for sections of St. Thomas and Portland. So those residents, please ensure that you get that laundry done or watch the weather while you're getting your laundry done. Maybe get it done from tonight, who knows. Either way, 2 p.m. starting to show some of those blues that represent rainfall spilling into sections of some central parishes. We know how these things go, and then it could eventually end up in the west. Either way, weekends that both accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS has majority of the rainfall plaguing sections of eastern Jamaica. Keep in mind that this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS is showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 3Z on Sunday. When we calculate that, that's from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. We're not saying that it's going to be raining from now all the way up until then, but within that time period, this is the year that's going to be getting the most rainfall within the next 24 hours. And we see the Euro showing up to 0.21 of an inch of rainfall across sections of St. Thomas, Portland. GFS not so robust, only up to 0.07 of an inch. Either way, both Euro and the GFS are in consensus, and we know that when both of them are in agreement like this, the chances of actually happening are much higher. We're in the month of February. We usually receive up to 65.4 millimeters of rainfall during this month. It is our driest month of the year. I'm pretty sure you've been hearing a lot of fire trucks going on and about throughout your area, especially on the south coast of the island. Tis the season. February is fire month in Jamaica. The Jamaica Fire Brigade is quite busy this time of year. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get to put a dent in the dry weather that we've been receiving, even although we got some decent rainfall the other day with the cold front. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can see that we have some amount of clouds coming into sections of the eastern Caribbean associated with the leftovers of that cold front. We do still have some amount of activity across sections of northeastern South America, so Suriname, French Guiana, sections of Colombia and Venezuela getting in on the action. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we can see that we did not have much taking place. However, if we take a look closer to the southern islands of the Leeward Islands, we do see those greens that represent light to moderate rainfall, even some yellows in there that represent heavy rainfall associated with the clouds of that cold front that we mentioned. And we can see it all even better on the Barbados radar right here, with that rainfall coming in from the east for the most part. Not much activity taking place across Barbados right now, some coming in from the east, but we can see some of that rainfall up to the south and west of Barbados, maybe heading into sections of the Grenadines, maybe sections of St. Lucia, Martinique might get on the action tonight. And if we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we don't see much taking place at all. We do see, however, that isolated shower activity that we mentioned across French Guiana, Suriname, and Guyana. As relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is showing 18 on Saturday, and when we calculate that, that's at least 1 p.m. on Saturday. We do see the blues that represent below normal temperatures for majority of the greater Antilles, the northern or northeastern Caribbean, while average to below average temperatures for the southern Caribbean, Central America, northern South America getting in on those normal to above normal temperatures. As relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Saturday, some slight brown shades that represent some Saharan dust stretching from the ABC Islands into sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, but it won't even be that noticeable. What would be noticeable is if we had that darker shade of brown that we see across the main development region. That's the vigorous plume that usually causes that, asthmatic issues, sinusitis issues in some persons, not to mention those hazy skies. And we're indeed grateful that we're not going to be getting in on that for 2 p.m. on Saturday. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we do see that we do have for a majority of the islands, more and we have blues surrounding the area. It represents anywhere from 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights. We can't rule out some purples right there that represent 2 meter wave heights in some of the northeastern Caribbean islands, not to mention right there to the south of Haiti, to the south of Jamaica, to the north of Colombia. That area is usually a hotspot for high waves, and that's because the easterly trade winds always pick up the most right there, as we can see by the yellows that represent 25 to 30 knots. And we can see that for the most part the wind should be coming in from the east across the Caribbean tomorrow, averaging anywhere from 10 to 15 knots, gusting to 20 and 25 knots. So we have those brighter greens and yellows. As related to the rainfall forecast for the next 24 hours from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. Not saying this is going to be raining up all the way up until then, but these are the areas that are going to be picking up the most rainfall from now up until then. We do see that majority of Central America should be in the clear. Maybe some rainfall right there across sections of Panama, Costa Rica, sections of Venezuela. Not to mention section of the ABC Islands getting in on some of the action. We can also see some isolated shore activity anywhere from Barbados westward and northward. So sections of St. Vincent, sections of St. Lucia, Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe, maybe incorporating sections of Antigua and Barbuda in the mix. And we know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chance of actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.